Hey everybody, it's Muscle Car Campy, and guess what? Today is Hemi Day. Yeah, that's right. Coronet RT Hemi with a torque flight. We're all about to get into this monster muscle machine. It's a 68 Hemi Coronet RT. The second year for the RT package. RT was for road and track, so you know what this car is all about. Great suspension, but most importantly, it's what's under the hood of this car that counts. It's not the standard 443 75. It's the Hemi 426, the elephant motor, 425 horsepower, 490 pound-feet of torque. This was the engine that put fear into the heart of everyone. You know, the RT for 68, it was more than just a high-performance car. The entire body for the 68 Coronet was all new. Gorgeous car, 68 only, black door buttons on there, kind of crazy. Got the round marker lights in the front and the rear. RT, second year, like I said, it came out in 67. It was part of what enthusiasts now consider the letter cars, the Dodge RT, the Plymouth GTX, but they were also, of course, designed to get a big piece of that market that was started by the GTO in 1964. This car had all the styling cues that were popular in the day. You had the power dome hood to indicate that there was something under the hood more than just a 318 two-barrel. You had some beautiful lines on this car, even up top here. This was gorgeously designed. You have these indentations in the hood, make it go around. You had a massive piece of compound glass in the rear. The whole styling of the car, it had that beautiful hardtop that Dodge was famous for back in the day. I mean, just an outstanding example. It really took Chrysler from those 62 to 67 years right up into the modern era. By now, the story of the Street Hemi has been told numerous times. Chrysler wanted to race it in NASCAR. They said put it in a production car or no go. So they created the Street Hemi. Compression went from 12.5 to 1 on the race Hemis to 10.25 to 1. Very mild for a street performance engine back then. You had gigantic ports, big cylinder heads with hemispherical domes, 2.25 intake valves, 1.94-inch exhaust valves, solid lifter cam, dual point distributor, dual Carter carburetors, just an amazing package altogether. Kind of a funny thing, they rated this at 425 horsepower at 5,000 RPM, which I have no doubt it made 425 horsepower at 5,000 RPM. But if you put one on a dyno, you'll see it makes about 480 to 485 horsepower at about 6,500 RPM. This thing was not anywhere close to peak horsepower at 5,000 RPM in street trim. That's why when you see a lot of the old road tests, they ran kind of shockingly slow. Because if you were shifting like road and track that shifted at peak horsepower, 5,000 RPM, you probably go a 14.6, 14.7, 14.8. Whereas if you really let the thing eat, ran it up to about 6,500 RPM, all of a sudden you'll see what Car and Driver was getting for road tests. 13.5 at 105 miles an hour. Even Car Life, with 2 people aboard and a full tank of fuel, was getting 13.6s at 104 plus miles an hour. This thing really made some serious suds. Fascinating part of the automotive industry, in 1968, all the big three redesigned their intermediates. GM's A-bodies, the Chevelle 442, GTO, etc., all new. At Ford, the Fairlane Torino line, all new. And at Mopar, again, the B-bodies, all new. Who did it best? I'll let you guys argue that point. But I will say this. If God is in the details, this is a very pious automobile, because there are details everywhere you look on this car, some of which I'm discovering for the first time. We mentioned the compound glass in the back earlier. fabulous, fabulous looking piece of glass. But then you get to the trunk lid and you've got these lines that go up. But what's this? This peak line in the middle of the deck lid that goes up towards the window. I mean, I never even noticed that before, and I've been around these cars. My neighbor had one when I was a kid. The back of the car really had fantastic tail lights, that treatment in between. I mean, it just looked like nothing else on the road. You know, the other day I was on Facebook and we were arguing who had the most modern looking 68s, and my friend who's a Pontiac guy said it was the GTO and Le Mans was the most modern looking. I don't know. Possibly, but was it better looking than this? That's another argument, folks. Magnum 500s with the red drum brakes, that is a factory thing. The beautiful Fratzog on the roof. The Dodge Delta, as some would call it. I love the indentations on the side, the black buttons on the doors. I mean, everything on this car is just styled so remarkably well. I mean, there was no detail left untouched. I am Coronet campy. I've had a 65 Coronet 500 for over 30 years. This car is so beautiful inside. I love the family lineage. This car came with tons of great options. AM 8-track, rear speaker. The 8-track still works. We actually rode over here today to our video location with the Beach Boys Spirit of America playing. Love the rally pack gauges, 8,000 RPM tack. What's really funny is, you gotta laugh, the Hemi was redlined at 5,000 RPM, which, as we said earlier, the car was barely getting going at 5,000 RPM. I guess they were really worried what would happen. But we love the white interior. We love the big console, the black dash, the white headliner. There'll be no smoking in this car, folks. We don't want yellow stains on the white. But man, this car is an absolute dream. When we rode over here, I can tell you, it was quiet, rattle-free. It drives like a regular family sedan, which is really an amazing thing. But I guess if you were paying the big money for the Hemi option, it sure as heck better drive nice. It should come as no surprise that the trunk in this car is every bit as perfectly detailed as the rest of it. But look at all this room. Oh my God. And, you know, put a picnic cooler back there, some chairs, go off to the lake somewhere. Just have a grand and glorious time. This is a great day for muscle car camping. We're in a Hemi 68 Coronet 500. I mean, we've got an 8-track player. We've got all the cool stuff. Mark, thank you for taking us out in your car today and really sharing it with the muscle car campy audience. Tell me something. What drew you to this car originally?
Well, obviously the first thing was the Hemi. I mean, anytime that you come across a good-looking car with original Hemi engine in it from the right period, and you can't walk away from something like that. That's been my dream, is to have a Hemi car, and now I finally accomplished that. So it's every day is a dream, getting in and driving around.
I bet it is. And you're not just a Hemi guy. You've got a 68 Charger that you're finishing up right now too, with a 440. So all you need now, you've got the Charger RT, the Coronet RT. All you need is a Dart GTS. You'll have the entire scat pack. Maybe add a Super Beat to the mix.
Yeah, that would be a dream, to have one for every class for 68, to be able to put all that together and line it up in the garage.
And I know a lot of people like the Super Beat for its Spartan interior, the bench seat, etc. This is such a beautiful car to ride around in. I mean, the console, the buckets. I mean, you've got I love the 8-track player, of course, because I'm mental like that, but that's okay.
Yeah, to have all those extras on it. I mean, the Super B's a great car, but when I came across this and it had all the extra features, the rally dash, the center console, the 8-track,
and the rear speaker. Don't forget about the rear speaker.
Rear speakers,
you know?
that helps out. But to have power steering and power brakes originally installed from the factory, it's
Yeah.
I mean, this thing drives and handles so well. The braking is so good. And I mean, if it weren't for the fact that it's carbureted, I feel like I'm driving a new car.
Yeah. Well, it's the Road and Track package. So we're on the road. We're having some fun.
Heck yeah.
Put yourself in the position of the original owner. Can you imagine what it was like back then? You go to the dealership and you drive out in this gorgeous turquoise and white Hemi-powered monster. I mean, that had to be like one of the greatest days of anyone's life.
Oh, of course. Obviously, the price range was so much better back then, but...
Yeah, well, although, you know, that Hemi was not an inexpensive option. There's a reason they only sold approximately 220 RT hardtops in 1968 with the Hemi engine. I mean, it was expensive and it brought a lot of mandatory equipment with it. We like to think it was cheap, but when the average salary was $100 a week was considered good money, a $4,000 car was, whoa, that kind of set him back a bit, didn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
it did.
I mean, that was nearly Corvette territory back then.
But to have all the extra options, and I mean, be able to even do that back then, where you could add, you know, everything you wanted onto the car, like, because this was special ordered from the factory by the original owner, so he was able to put everything on it he wanted.
And let me ask you this, where was this car from originally?
I'm still trying to trace that back. I don't have all that information yet.
Okay.
The gentleman that did most of the restoration is out of New York area, so I'm going to do some more research on it. I want to look back into it and find out the history of the car, so I know more about it. But I know the owner I bought it from has had it for over 30 years, so might not be too many owners before that.
The cool thing is, you can say when somebody says, hey, does that thing have a Hemi in it?
Yes,
You can
it
say,
does.
yes it does. That's awesome. Would you say that's got to be your favorite part of the car, right?
Oh, of course.
I mean,
Of course. To be able to open that hood and see those valve covers, to see those two 4-barrel carburetors, you know there's some power there. You know.
Yeah. And it's just amazing how well they were able to make these cars run. You know, they didn't have to do much for emissions. You know, just carburetor tuning and distributor tuning. And I would bet probably there was some horsepower there. The people who got them back then,
Oh yeah.
readjusted all that stuff and picked up about 10-15 more horsepower.
All that hidden horsepower that was on the hood.
Yeah. I mean, take it to the track. First thing you do is disconnect the power steering belt too. That was another 10 horsepower.
Yeah. There's
But-
little tricks like that help out in the long run, but
Yep.
you know, for an everyday drive.
Well, and I'm just marveling at how really docile this car actually is. You know, for all that horsepower, solid lifter cam, dual point distributor, 2 carburetors, and it really does idle smoothly. I mean, the acceleration is great. I mean, wow. I mean, that's all I can say is just wow. But I love looking out over that hood, the power dome in the middle, the optional turn signal on the end of the fenders,
Yeah, it's all
turn
those-
signal indicators.
all those extra features are made. I mean, that's the experience in this car. It's so
Yeah.
nice.
All right, everybody, it's Muscle Car Campy saying see you later. That's all for now. Mark, thank you for letting us use your Hemi car today for our video. It is a grand, glorious automobile, and we're proud just to be putting our hands on the inside of the metal door panel. Take care, and don't forget, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We've got lots more great videos coming up. You won't want to miss any of them.